Hello everybody, this is Jacob from a sunny afternoon in Aarhus. I am looking very much forward to seeing you guys on Monday, and in this first video I will also send out another video about the Game Master model, but in this video I will just give you a short big picture on what we're going to work with in this process, in this course for the next 3-4 months. Just so you know what you can expect, and perhaps you can already begin your reflection work on what you would like to work with, and that's why I'm going to give you a big picture initially, right now. So, what is it all about? It is all about us being coaches, hereby helping our coachees to reflect better, to find new solutions, to find meaningful ways to move forward. And how we're going to do it is to facilitate a safe space where our dialogues, our ways of being, our questions, our hypotheses, and our general way of being enables our coachee to move forward with whatever they need to move forward with. And as a foundation, the coaching conversation in itself has a lot of different definitions, and we will be talking about them also. But in general, the coaching conversation is to help one person, the coachee, move forward from their current state in a meaningful way by their own reflection work. So what we want to do is put our coachees to work by asking great questions, by working in the relation, by introducing hypotheses, and in general just by being supportive and taking care of the coaching relation. So what we're going to work with for the next 3 or 4 months is how can we work in the coaching relation in order to create this safe coaching space where it's completely safe for our coachee to develop themselves, to make important reflection work. But the better a coaching relation we can create, the more we can disturb our coachee. So the better the relation, the easier it is for us to make a bigger impact through the way we ask questions. If we want to be perhaps a bit more bold in our questions, the coaching relation determines if that's possible. So the first thing we need to do, and we will talk about that as well, is to create the coaching relation. From there, we will be working, and we will be working with that on Monday as well. We will be working with the Game Master model, and you can check out the other video, and I will introduce that in particular. But we will use the Game Master model because it's very central in establishing the framework for every coaching conversation. And how does it do that? Well, the Game Master model works with 3 tools. Whenever we are in contact with a focus person or a coachee, we need to establish a contract. We also need to be able to make timeouts. We need to negotiate the contract as we go along in the conversation, if that's needed. And by the end of each coaching session, we also need to be able to evaluate what happened in this particular conversation and what do the coachees take away from the conversation. And we also need to ask for feedback for ourselves as coaches, so that we can perhaps change or adjust our own behavior for the next conversation. So we also need to be able to evaluate. So this is basically the key elements in the coaching conversation, in the coaching relation. We need to take care of the relation, and we need to take care of the basic framework. When that's in place, then we can begin to work with all of the wonderful different methods, theories and questions and hypotheses. So what we will be working with is, of course, how we can ask a lot of questions in different ways that helps our coachees to reflect in meaningful and relevant ways about what they want to reflect on. So we will be working a lot with how we can ask questions that actually affects and impacts the coachee in a meaningful way. And for that purpose, we will be focusing our attention on especially Carl Tom and his ways of asking questions, Edgar Schein, whom a lot of you guys probably know. And also we will let us inspire from the solution-focused approach. And those three people have, in a massive way, inspired how coaches can ask questions. And we will become experts and real nerds in how questions actually make quite different impacts depending on how you ask them. So we will really go into detail with the questions and what impact questions have, because that's really central to creating great coaching conversations. Then we will also be working with hypotheses. That's a very difficult word. Hypotheses, hypotheser in Danish. And the reason why we want to work with hypotheses is that once we have established a good coaching relation, once we have the framework, once we can ask the questions, then it's very possible that we have also created a relation where it's safe for us to move just a little bit forward. Perhaps produce ourselves, present ourselves in a bit more visible way than we would do otherwise. So hypothesis is one way of showing yourself as a coach, introducing your own thoughts, introducing your own possible solutions, offering a mirror for the coachee to see themselves in. But in order to do that, we need to pay really good attention to how we do it. Because the risk of being Mr. Know-it-all coach and just hovering over our coachees with all of our solutions is very damaging, could have a very damaging effect on how the coachee can do their own reflection work. So in the way that we will work with hypotheses is how to introduce them and how we can make sure that our coachees can say thank you, but no thank you to our hypotheses, and how we can make them really, truly helpful and not just letting ourselves be some sort of Mr. Know-it-all or expert. In this relation, a lot of dynamics are obviously going on, and we will also be working with the power dynamics of a coaching conversation. So we will also be very preoccupied with how we can balance the dynamics of the relation through the way we use the language, through the way that we use questions, through the way that we use hypotheses. And Carl Tom also introduces what he calls communicative positions as a way of being really aware of what we are doing with our coachee when we are doing it. So, the power dynamics are also very central to how we can succeed as a coach. The two last things that we're going to work with is pattern work. And we will use coordinated management of meaning, CMM-modellen, the CMM model, for that purpose. Because the CMM model really enables our coachees and ourselves to realize what kind of patterns that our coachees are part of that are perhaps not helpful, and if we can locate them, we can also talk about what kind of patterns would be helpful in order to help our coachee find new meaningful ways to move forward. So we will also talk about coordinated management of meaning, trying to find all of the different patterns that are present for our coachees in order to help them break those negative patterns and establish new ones that are more helpful. All right, I'm talking fast. I'm sorry if it's too fast, but I have just one more thing on my mind. Because whenever we engage in professional conversations, and especially coaching conversations, ethics are at play as well. Ethics. And that's the last thing that we are going to work with in depth. We're going to work with how we can produce ourselves, how we can be a version of ourselves that helps our coachee in a very sound and ethical way that is not breaking any boundaries, that is not committing some sort of overgreb. I'm not sure how to translate that actually, but hopefully it's the same in Danish and Swedish, but overgreb. We really need to pay close attention to how we work with our coachees. And the reason why we want to talk about ethics is that being this close in a coaching relationship also opens up to a very intimate space. And we need to take care of that space. And we need, as coaches, to reflect on how we want to present ourselves, how we would like our impact to be on our coachee. And the reason why we want to pay attention to that is that a Danish word would be afhængighedsforhold, dependency tendencies. Really easily happens when we're in a very close coaching relationships. So we want to create healthy patterns in the way that we communicate and the way that we build patterns between us as coach and coachee. Also, it's very important for European Mentoring and Coaching Council, who have accredited our course, that we are able to make a contract, we're able to make sound reflections on how we want to create a contract with what we can do together, and that's also a big part of why we will work with ethics. Okay, so this is more or less what we're going to spend the time on, and we're going to do it through short theoretical introductions, perhaps a bit like this, but live. I'm obviously going to introduce you to the theories and methods. You will also have the opportunity to read about the theories and methods in the literature that you can find online. We're also gonna watch a whole lot of videos together of each other's practice, because there's so much learning and a very big learning potential in watching videos of real-time coaching. So we're gonna do that as well. And then there's also a documentation bit that you all need to do, but I will explain that in more detail when we see each other Monday. Okay. This was the first video, and this was just to give you some sort of big picture on what we're going to work with. I hope it was helpful, and yeah, I'll move on to the next video. So thanks for watching.